Welcome. My name is Miriam Leary. I am a faculty member in the Division of Exercise Physiology, and I'm hosting tonight's meet and greet with the faculty here in the program. So I end up doing a lot of the recruiting events because I want to meet you first. I am the self-appointed freshman faculty member. And so what that means is when you come into XPhys here at WVU, I'm going to be the very first professor that you have in the program. And so I like to do these recruiting events so that you get to see me early, so I am a familiar face. And so tonight, I am going to introduce a lot of our different faculty. This is not all of them, but this is some they're all my favorites, but a lot of my favorites are here tonight, and they're going to share with you what they do in the program and highlight some of the awesome opportunities available to our students. So if you want to stick around, they're going to go kind of in an order, and then at the very end, I'm going to take questions. So tonight, I'm not going to get into the specifics about our curriculum and what classes you'll take and the progression through all of that. Instead, I want to highlight the things that really make WVU Exercise Physiology so unique and such a wonderful program. So most of our incoming students are interested in pursuing the health profession fields. They want to go into PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, medical, dental, physician's assistant, but certainly you can come into this program and go in so many different directions. So it is not at all limited to healthcare, but you'll see that a lot of what we offer is well suited to the clinical fields, but we have a variety that will prepare you for so many different careers. So when you come into this program, we have two tracks. One is the general track and one is called the health professions track. So I don't want to get into too much of the differences, but know that these tracks specifically prepare you if you want to go on to those fields. So if medical school requires 2 semesters of organic chemistry with a lab, we have that built into our program so you can matriculate into medical school. So if you want to stick around to the end and ask questions about more of the curriculum, I'm happy to answer anything there. But tonight, I really want to open it up for our faculty to share what they do so well. So I am going to start with our chair, Dr. Randy Briner. And Dr. Briner, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Leary, and welcome to our virtual exercise physiology meet and greet. We're really glad that all of you could be here with us tonight on this cold Morgantown night. I don't know where you're coming from, but it snowed here all day today. We've had actually very, very warm weather, so this all changed very quickly. But again, we're really, really happy that you could be part of our virtual get together, and you're strongly considering the exercise physiology program. I think when you hear from our faculty who are outstanding and all of the opportunities that you would have if you come into the program, I think you're going to realize that the exercise physiology program is an excellent choice for you. I always tell students when I do recruiting visits and things, I tell them to think about, getting and earning a bachelor's of science from the School of Medicine. That's a very unique opportunity that you would have with us. I think it was Andre Agassi once said that image is everything. And I really believe that when you graduate from a School of Medicine, from an undergraduate program, the opportunities are endless for you. You're going to hear about many of the specific things that you could do with us, many of these programs. We have some great programs and actually a very new program. I suspect Dr. Leary will talk to you about our new dance emphasis program, but I'm going to tell her to do that at the very end because we are actually in the process of recruiting a fabulous new dance emphasis scientist that hopefully will be with us starting next year. You're going to hear about all the labs that you can do and a lot of research, and being in the School of Medicine really affords you the opportunity to do research. And I suspect many of you have already been talking with your counselors, and if you're thinking of medical school or dental school, you understand that being involved in research and community service and leadership opportunities is imperative to get into those programs. No longer can you just rely on grades and scores. You really have to have a very well-rounded program of study, and we've really worked to help you do that. Just real quickly before I turn it over to our other Dr. Leary, I do want to just remind you that we are part of a bigger department, the Department of Human Performance and Applied Exercise Science. It's a big, long name, but that actually has physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training, our new physician assistant program, and a brand new speech pathology program embedded within us. And so we work with these faculty, and our curriculum have actually been established so that we can help you have all the prerequisites and do very well getting into these programs. As Dr. Leary said, we have a pre-med and a pre-dental track that I think is second to none. You get to take all of the STEM courses, plus you get a lot of hands-on laboratory experiences that you'll hear about tonight that you wouldn't get in another program. And finally, I always want to give a shout out to our other programs in XPhys. We have 2 master's programs. So I know that's way down the road. You're thinking of BS now, but I would plant the seed that we have a clinical master's, we have a thesis or a research master's, and we are one of the 6 programs that actually offer a PhD in the biomedical sciences. And I always tell students at this early age, do a very good job with us and we will pay you to go to graduate school. You'll get to go for free and we'll give you a stipend to do so. So it's something, I know it's way down the road, but it's something that I always talk about in recruiting visits. And last but not least, I do want to talk real briefly about WVU's honors program. I'm one of 2 honors advisors here, so that's a program that's near and dear to my heart. About 20 to 25% of exercise physiology students are in the honors program. So if you qualify for the honors program, I would strongly encourage you to apply. I have a saying, and I've used it for many, many years. Honors is not harder, it's just better. A lot of times I hear from students, oh, Dr. B, your program has so many hard classes. I don't want to also do honors courses. Please don't think that way. I want you in the honors program if you can do it, because it will open up so many more doors for you. If you're considering, for example, physical therapy, you bonus points on your application for every year you're in the honors program. Now, some of you may not qualify right now, and that's okay, because I have other ways to get you into the honors program. If you come here and do very well your first semester, you can go into the honors program at Christmas time. So if you get a 3.7 or higher, come to see myself or Dr. McCurry, who's the other honors advisor, and we can get you into the Foundation Honors Program, which is a 2-year program. However, you may rather do it later on in your career, and WVU has something called the Excel Honors Program for juniors and seniors, and that only requires a 3.4, and that's an experiential learning program. You do community service type of events, you do study abroad, or as Dr. Alford will be talking with you in a little bit, you can actually use research for it. And again, every year you're in the honors program, these graduate programs will give you either bonus points or it will go on your resume to really enhance your ability to get into professional programs in graduate school. So I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Leary, the other Dr. Leary, but I would also say one other thing, that if to have individual recruiting appointments with myself or any of the faculty, please feel free to reach out to one of us or reach out to our recruiting people, and we will be happy to meet with you on an individual basis. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. And Dr. Leary, Brian Leary, you are next.
Hello, everyone. So I'm the other Dr. Leary. So I'm Dr. Brian Leary. I'm actually a first-year faculty member within exercise physiology and started this fall within the program. A little bit about myself. I did my undergraduate degree and my master's degree here at WVU. So as Dr. Briner said, I was fortunate enough to be one of the ones that did well. And was taken in to do some research within the department, and then, made some career choices and came back here after getting the PhD to be able to teach within the department. So I teach strength and conditioning. I work in the strength and conditioning lab component as well, which Dr. Bastilli will talk about here in a couple minutes with you. Myself and the other Dr. Leary also are working on creating a new exercise and sports nutrition course within the department to bring nutrition back to exercise physiology, so we can talk to you guys a little bit more about how exercise and diet all interacts for athletic populations, for clinical populations, and a variety of different things. Outside of the teaching stuff, one of the things that I focus on, or I'm part of, is I'm actually the first generation college student faculty mentor for exercise physiology. So myself, I actually didn't have either of my parents go to college. So I was a first generation college student myself from a small town here in West Virginia. So I know a lot of the challenges associated with being a first generation student, how hard it is sometimes to figure out what financial aid is, if there are things like scholarships, which I didn't know about when I was a freshman, and a variety of other stuff along college that I kind of learned around as I went through the course of 4 years. And hopefully, if you're a first generation student, I can reach out, or you can reach out to me and I can help you through that process to make it a little bit easier for you when you make that transition here to our department, because it is a large university and there's a lot of moving parts. And if you don't have family or someone else in your network that's been through college, it makes it a little bit extra difficult to figure out how to navigate academia. And I'm here to kind of help you through that process. So I teach, just a variety of things, but mostly the first gen and the teaching. I think what we have next is the other doctor, is Dr. Sherlock, and she'll be talking about Aquatics and Exercise Physiology Club. So with that being said, I'll kind of be brief and pass that along to her.
So, well,
Sorry,
hello
Lauren,
and
you're
welcome.
muted.
Yeah, I figured that out. So welcome everybody to this evening. And I wanted to just give you a little heads up on the activities that you can get involved in with Exercise Phys. We are a very large major, and hopefully you will help contribute to those numbers and the excitement that we feel on campus every time we're here with all of our students. In the Exercise Physiology Club, we are very activity and community service oriented. So what you'll find as you go through our program is that you are required to perform community service and get involved in that manner. Exercise Physiology Club helps to make that easier, and also I think a little bit more engaging in that we try to bring in exercise into the community activities that we take part in. So some of those things might be 5Ks. We either staff them or we organize them ourselves. We had a zombie run for a couple years. We create cards for nursing homes. We do treats for healthcare workers. We participate in Project Linus, and we have play groups for Children's Hospital, as well as virtual activity playtime for kids to try to keep them active during this pandemic. In addition to that, we've adopted a portion of our rail trail in town to try to make the places that people exercise beautiful. So we try to have a high level of involvement, and within the club, you can be as you want or as little as you want, depending on your schedule and your availability. But I'm basically the cheerleader of the club. The students run it. They make sure that they are trying to get you guys involved in as many things on campus as they can. Now, my real part of my job is the aquatic therapy curriculum. So I teach the aquatic therapy curriculum, and it is very unique to exercise physiology as well as to the nation. We are the only aquatic therapy program in the entire nation, and it is a really fun and an interesting curriculum where you get a lot of hands-on experience. You're going to find that that's a trend through most of exercise physiology. We try to provide you all with not just the classroom experience, but also hands-on experience where you get to learn it in the classroom and then perform the activity. In the aquatic therapy curriculum, it consists of 3 courses and an internship. And within those 3 courses, we'll be spending half of our time in the classroom and half of our time in the swimming pool. So when we're in the pool, you're going to learn lots of different techniques on how to work with various clients, various diagnoses, and also different techniques that are very specific to the aquatic environment. We finish that curriculum with an internship where you get some clinical hands-on experience working in the water with aquatic professionals and patients. So I hope to see you on WVU's campus and in the halls of the Exercise Physiology Department. I'm not sure who's next. I
I think,
apologize.
Next is
I think
Ed.
I'm next, Lori. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Pastilli. I am a former graduate of the program, so I completed my PhD in the Exercise Physiology Program. Went away for postdoc and then was recruited back. I have a background in strength and conditioning, so I was able to come back and coordinate the strength and conditioning course that you take during your junior year. So I'd like to show you just some pictures briefly. And what we see here in your junior year will be the first opportunity you'll get to take our strength and conditioning methods course. And this is a 4-credit course. So you have a lecture component as well as a lab component. And what you see here is our strength lab, or actually one room of our 2-room strength lab. We have platforms, bumper plates, and some other weights, bars to fit men, women, and as well as training bars. And the goal of this course is really twofold. First, we want to give you some experience in sport performance training. So the majority of the course is really geared toward exercise training and specifically resistance training geared towards sport performance. And then when we take you down into this lab, we're going to actually teach you how to do some of these lifts. So if you've never done a clean and jerk before, or a snatch, or a back squat, a deadlift, we're going to teach you how to do all those exercises with the goal of allowing you to become familiar enough to teach those lifts to other people and then create training programs for those people. At the last quarter of the class, we switch gears a little bit and we go make it more clinically oriented. So we'll discuss resistance training for clinical patients. And really, to bring us all to a close, the goal of this is to lead you into your internship opportunities later with the ability to develop resistance training programs for any kind of client you would come in contact with. Now, the other thing I want to introduce briefly is Dr. Briner mentioned we have a new dance science emphasis that's coming on board. And what we have is a collaboration with the WVU dance team. So for an internship, there's the possibility that you could train the WVU dance team in our strength lab. So in this picture here, this is one of our interns just this semester training the dance team. This was our other intern in the other room training our dance team. So we developed, it was a 12-week program that we utilized the model of periodization that we learned in the strength and conditioning course to bring the athletes through different phases of training and bring them to a peak before they go into a dance competition. So this is just one of the new opportunities that we're really happy to have available, and you can take advantage of if you feel like your interests lie more in the strength and conditioning field. So with that, I can pass it off.
Great. And up next, we have Professor Thomas in the Cadaver Lab.
Hey guys, welcome future healthcare providers. This is Professor Thomas here to tell you about a very unique opportunity. Here in exercise physiology, we've made such a big impact with our students being the #1 students for healthcare, for medicine, for dentistry, for pharmacy, anything, you name it, we're going to be the best. They decided that they should give us our own human cadaver lab. Again, very, very rare. So I'm here to give you a little demonstration and just a little preview of the human cadaver lab that you could be a part of your junior or senior year. All right, so scanning the room here, you can see that we have our own dedicated room. Yes, dedicated. We do not have to share. That makes us special. People will be jealous of you. I guarantee it. If you want to be a surgeon, we have the gentle, very fragile tools. If you think you want to maybe go into some osteopath, we even have the big tools all the way up to the big power saw. If you just want to learn about training and about the body, we got that too. We got bones, we got muscles, we got it all. If you like CSI, guess what? We even have the cause of death. You can look at the organs, you can see what possibly went wrong with that person. Yes, in this class, you'll look at everything from head all the way down to the phalanges. Just to give you a little preview, and again, I am going to show you a little preview. So here we go. Let me flip around here. Here's the disclaimer. You are about to see some actual human body parts. So if you're a little shy, you might want to turn away. So again, like we said, from head to toe. So what we have here, yes, that is a human brain. Take a look at that. That person was probably pretty smart. Oh, then we have a lung. That black in there, yeah, that person probably did vape. Yes, I said vape. So that's probably on that cause of death, right? Here's a human heart. And then finally, what most people don't think is that big is actually your liver. Very, very, very. See you here. Again, I'll be here waiting on you, and I hope to see you.
Jim, that was great. I did not know you were going to come at us like a game show host, but that was so great. Up next, we have Dr. McCrory.
Hi, everyone. Let me see. Am I muted? I'm not muted now, am I? I was. I am a little taken aback by the enthusiasm of Professor Thomas's presentation. So next time, Dr. Leary, please schedule me before him because I don't want to have to follow that. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. McCrory, and I teach your sophomore year. I teach the kinesiology classes to the sophomores. I am also an honors advisor with Dr. Briner. And if you qualify, I believe the entrance requirements are about a 3.7 GPA and a 26 ACT score or 1230 SAT score. I would really encourage you to apply because in addition to getting bonus points or discretionary points on applications for schools after undergrad, you also, while you're here, get to schedule first. The honor students schedule before the general student population. And that is really such a perk when you're trying to get into classes that can fill up like organic chemistry, for example. So it's a really nice perk to have if you can qualify as an honor student. I think one of the reasons that I was asked to talk to you today was because I have a number of research students working in my lab. I do biomechanics research or the study of the way people move. So after I'm done talking, a couple people after me, Dr. Olfert is going to, I think, tell you about the research your junior, senior year. But I thought I would share with you first that if you want to do research because you want to go on to school and are just really interested in research as a career, we have a number of different labs with a number of different research opportunities. So I personally do human subjects research and I work with a variety of populations. We look at very high performance runners and say how foot shape or choice of shoes, whether you're wearing one of those new shoes or a minimalist shoe, how the foot shape and anthropometry and shoe design may interact to make you more likely or less likely for injury. So we're looking at that, but we also work with clinicians from all over health sciences. We have studies going on with oncology to look at how certain types of chemotherapy that are awesome at treating cancer may have a side effect that it causes nerve degeneration in the arms and legs. So we look how that affects movement. We look at how pregnant women, how their biomechanics change as their body changes during pregnancies and how that may put them at greater risk of falling. So we work with the OBGYN faculty. We have even a study going on with dentistry, believe it or not, to see if people who wear dentures or implants, if they have dental implants, how that may affect nutrient intake and function. So we look at strength and power in the lower extremity based on what sort of teeth they have, natural dentures or implants. So we work with faculty from all over health sciences, and it really is a nice opportunity to try out research if you're thinking about going on to grad school for research. So after me, I believe it is Dr. Ryan who's going to be talking to you about the teaching lab here that you'll have your junior year.
Hi guys, I am Dr. Ryan. I am actually the course coordinator for the Physiology of Exercise Lab 1 and 2. It is taken during your junior year. It's in the fall and spring semester. We do a hands-on approach and a practical application of content that you guys learn in the lecture component. So there's a lecture and lab that are kind of combined both your fall and spring semester of your junior year. Here's actually a picture of our larger lab. It's brand new this year. At the front, you have the work tables and stations. In the back, we have the exercise equipment. We have treadmills, we have Monarch bikes. We also have a biodex that we use from Dr. McCrory's lab. We also have these metabolic carts. Our metabolic carts help us assess VO2 max, which is cardiorespiratory fitness. We do EKGs on them. We do spirometry, which helps assess lung volumes. Our work table stations, what they have is we have this nice station where you guys can take notes at the beginning of lecture or of lab, where we go through an explanation of the lab. And then we have this nice padded table then as well, where we can actually do different assessments. So some of the assessments that we do are specifically with anthropometry. We perform different leg length assessments. We do Q angles, which are your quadricep angles. We look at active and passive knee extension and flexion. So pretty much we have students find different anatomical locations on their subjects, and they're able to do these measurements. We also learn how to perform field assessments of ACL, LCL, MCL, and meniscus tears. So there's a lot that we actually do assessment-wise as well. Now here is a picture. It is pre-COVID, so I don't want you guys to worry that we don't have masks on. But in this picture, we're actually assessing VO2 max, so again, cardiorespiratory fitness. We're using a treadmill and the metabolic cart. We also assess power, doing a Wingate test on the bike. We have a lab where we simulate altitude. And what we do is we compare that with normal environment exercise and see how those two different tests differ. We also look at different populations with testing. So we look at how we test a pediatric population versus an elderly population. We also look how we test different cardiac populations, so individuals who actually have cardiac problems as well. Here we have one of our students hooked up to an EKG. So we also assess EKGs. We look at spirometry, like I said before, which is looking at different lung volumes. We do blood pressures and heart rates. We look at blood glucose levels. So we like to see how a student's blood glucose responds to different situations. So like I'll have a student drink a Powerade or a Gatorade or really sugary sports drink and see what happens to their blood glucose levels, or we'll have them do a high intensity exercise. We also look at white cell counts and how different exercises affect that. We do body composition measurements like skin folds and BMIs and waist-hip ratios. So we compare all those to see which ones are the best and which ones are the worst for measurements for body composition. And then here is actually a new setup. So due to COVID, we've had to come up with different ways to run lab. So we still run lab, but we try to do the social distancing, and we've been lucky to actually order some new fun equipment. And this is actually a fake arm that we can take blood pressures and heart rates on. So it's really, really neat. It's one of those new pieces of equipment that we got to because of COVID, but it's a really new addition and nice addition to our lab. Because of COVID as well, we've actually had some other faculty put our heads together and come up with some new and exciting things as well. We started doing heart sounds this semester. So we listened to normal heart sounds versus abnormal heart sounds. We've also added an EMG lab, which pretty much looks at the electrical activity of nerve stimulation in the muscles, thanks to Dr. McCrory. So there's a lot of things that we've added, and we keep adding as years progress. So we like to stay on top of things and do the new and pretty much the new stuff that's going on in the world. And that's about it.
All right. Hi, guys. I guess I am next. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Okay. All right. So my name is Dr. Mark Olfert, and I have many hats that I play at the university here, and one of which that I really enjoy and have fun in the exercise physiology program is I serve as the coordinator and the director for undergraduate research. So you will see me your junior and senior years for your core lectures. But then if you're also interested in getting involved with research, then I'm also a person that can help you navigate through that. And I just have a few examples and pictures to show you for what that looks like. So I do have my own research lab, which I run, but my role is really to facilitate placing you in labs all throughout the campus, not just my lab. But I actually have 3 students in my lab this semester. Here's Rachel and Sydney, and we do vaping research. We study the effects of electronic cigarettes on respiratory and cardiovascular outcomes. And so you can see our vape device here and the chamber system we're using, and then we expose them to rats or mice. And in this case, it's going to a mouse chamber. And then another senior who's in my lab, Sarah, she has been working with me for the last couple of years, and she has learned how to use the laser Doppler machine and makes cerebral blood flow measurements in mice and rats after they've vaped or had exposure to vaping. But as I said, it's not just my lab where research gets done. In fact, I've placed over 30 students this semester in different labs, and here's a picture of Mallory. She's dissecting out protein tissues from samples that she has in front of her in Dr. Sokolov's lab. Here's another example. This is Lindsay. She is working with Dr. Scott Galster in the Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute, and she is getting the treadmill set up for a VO2 max test. And then she's also on the right-hand side there that she has the balls and little labels set up here for some biomechanical assessments that they will do with this with fancy cameras and equipment that they have positioned all throughout this room. Another picture from with Lindsay as well as Lauren, another student who is working at the RNI, the Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute. And in here you can see them working with one of the WVU athletes, and they're collecting data and making measurements for a research study in that area. And the last one, or actually not second to last one here, is a picture of Lily. And of course, COVID has impacted all of us in many ways. In this case, Lily is giving a facilitator training to over 20 sites and people that are involved in a pediatric study. And she's showing them how to use the Fitbit, how to place the Fitbit on pediatric patients or in pediatrics, young kids, not necessarily patients, and the way that they need the data collected for this study. And she's working with Dr. Leslie Cottrell in the pediatric department. And not all research is done by yourself. In fact, oftentimes this is teamwork, and this is just a picture. It's actually fairly dated now from my lab. But this is one particular study where we had a lineup of people that were involved in the study. So it can be fun, it's very exciting, and you get to learn a lot. But what's really cool and what's really interesting is we place students, and most of our students end up in labs in the School of Medicine, but we can place them anywhere on campus. And my goal as the director and coordinator for this program is to find an area in science that you're passionate and interested in, and try and get you into a lab like that. So within the School of Medicine, this is just a handful of the departments, but you can see these are all the departments where we currently either have students or have had students. I've placed students in dentistry, in the School of Public Health, in pharmaceutical science, Davis College for nutrition research, and really exciting opportunity for some of you, your senior year, if you're really interested in research and you would like to spend a semester abroad in Italy. We have an active collaboration with a colleague in the University of Milan. In fact, both Dr. Briner, myself, and some other faculty from WVU have gone to Milan. We've lectured to their students. And I know you can't see this in the picture, but I'm gonna zoom in on this slide right here. And it says, we are looking forward to seeing you at WVU. So this is a class of students that we were actually trying to get them as exchange students to come to WVU. And in fact, over the past 6 years, we've had 6 Italian students visit WVU and spend 3 to 4 months doing research here. And this is an example of one of those projects. this is a video, so let's just have this going. And this is Valentina and Michaela. They're both from Milan, and they came to run this respiratory muscle training project. And so this is just one example of the many different things and research opportunities that are available to you. Another exciting thing about research is you can sometimes get paid to do research. These are mostly opportunities during the summer, and WVU has a number of programs. And you don't need to write all this down, remember all this. When you join the program in our SOL website, we have all this information collected for you. It'll be at your fingertips for when you need it. But there are several opportunities that WVU offers that will pay you up to $400 to $4,500 for 10 weeks of summer work. But there are also national fellowships that you can apply for. The NIH, National Institutes of Health in Washington, D.C., and various sites around the country have fellowships. And many of the societies, the American Physiological Society, which I'm a part of, has a fellowship, and 3 of my students have been recipients of a summer award for this. But there are other societies as well. So there are many that do this. In order to take advantage of these, you have to plan ahead, though. You can't just decide at the last minute. Most of the applications are due in November, sometime between November and February of the year for the preceding summer. So these are opportunities that you can look for, and typically your junior and senior year. So the last thing, and one of the exciting things that happens with people when they spend time in someone's lab, and if they've spent a year or more, is they often, or I should say they sometimes, get to travel to national meetings. And in this case, Juliana received one of those American Physiological Society summer fellowships, so they paid her to come to Orlando, Florida, or go to Orlando, Florida, and present her work in 2018. And even if you don't get a summer fellowship, though, you still may have opportunities to attend a meeting. And Lance is a good example of that. Lance was in a lab for almost 2 years, and he did a lot of work in the lab that also then allowed him to get support from the school and even the department that he was working in to have him travel and present work at that meeting. So there's a lot of opportunities for research if you're interested in that. And if you are, you feel free to come find me, contact me. You can email me. You'll find my contact information on the website. And so just like I told our Milan students, we're looking forward to seeing you at WVU. Let's go Mountaineers.
Great, thank you. So I think that wraps up our faculty presentations, but the reason that I asked them to join us today is because I think they are the best of this program. We have all of these incredible opportunities, but it is because of these amazing faculty that take such good care of our students. They really, really want to see them succeed and get the best out of their education. And so one thing that I really like to point out during these events is we might be a very large program, but our faculty work very hard to make it feel small. And so we really prioritize faculty contact hours. You saw from Dr. Pastilli and Dr. Ryan and Professor Thomas, those labs are run by our faculty members. We don't source it out to TAs and GAs. We want our faculty to interact with our students. And so I think that's really an exceptional component of this program so that you get that faculty contact hours. And so you saw in some of the pictures that despite the pandemic, we have really worked hard to make coming into our laboratory classrooms safe. And so I think that's important because so many of our students want to go onto the healthcare field. They're practicing now how to be safe in a pandemic doing clinical practice. And so I'm really glad that we have made such big efforts to make that a possibility for all of our students, freshmen through seniors, to get to come into campus at least part-time and get some hands-on experience this year. So we intend to continue that as long as possible. At this point, I would like to open it up for any questions from the group. You're welcome to put them in the chat box or speak up, and it can be to any faculty or just to the group. Well, the host muted me. Thank you, Dr. Leary. I should say thank you to Dr. Leary for navigating the background of Zoom. He is our consultant on online learning, and so he stepped in to help do all of this background stuff. So thank you, Dr. Leary. Let's see. What is the pathway like for someone trying to pursue an OTD degree? So are we talking occupational therapy doctorate, right? So Tara, you can come into exercise physiology and you will need to get a 4-year degree to be able to go on for that doctorate program in occupational therapy. And so we are the preferred feeder program into that OTD program. So you would do 4 years of undergrad with us and get your bachelor's of science in exercise physiology, and then apply in your senior year to become an occupational therapy doctorate student. Do we need SAT, ACT scores to apply to the honors program? Dr. McCrory, Dr. Randy Reiner?
Yes, you do. I think Dr. McCrory gave those. I mean, I'm used, the ACT is 26. Dr. McCrory, do you know the SAT right off the top of your head?
1230.
1230. Yeah. So if you have those, and I think the GPA is a 3.6 or 3.7.
37.
3.7. Yeah, that gets you in automatically. You can, if you're very close. So say you have an ACT of 25, you can request to get in, and they may have you write the reasons why. And I know of students who have gotten in. But again, I really strongly encourage students that don't qualify right now not to give up hope, because you can get in. We didn't really explain it, but WVU has 2 specific honors programs. It used to be a 4-year program for a long, long time, and they've split it into 2 programs. The first one is called the Foundation Honors Program, and that's for years 1 and 2, and it's primarily taking honors courses. And as Dr. McCrory said, there are a lot of benefits to being in the yes. Priority registration is a biggie. So our freshmen get to register before our regular seniors do. And so that is a huge, huge benefit, because you get to pick the best classes. But honestly, when you're in various programs, history, sociology, biology, pick a program, they normally have their best faculty teaching the honors classes, and they're usually much smaller. It's not harder, it's just better. You get more hands-on experience, etc. Now, at the end of that 2-year program, you graduate as a Foundation Honors Scholar, and they have a graduating program at the end of your sophomore year, and you don't have to do anything else. You can re-enlist if you want, or if you had not been in it the first time, you could say, you know what, and please talk to us about this. I think honors is important to me, and I really want to do some of that cool stuff that Dr. Offer was talking about, and create a project that we help you with that goes over 2 years. That's the Excel program. And as long as you have a 3.4 in going into the end of your sophomore year, you can get into the honors Excel program. Take specific classes per se, it's experiential learning. Now, one of the persons we don't have here is Miss Nardella. She is in charge of all of our study abroad. You heard a little bit about it, but we have a huge study abroad presence. She does study abroad programs in Brazil and other areas where she works with medical professionals. So you can actually do your Excel program as a study abroad. And I have a young man who, before COVID, was working with some 3rd world countries, looking at water and other things that they were trying to bring to this village. to help them improve their health and stuff. It was a really fabulous idea and program he had. There's a girl in Ireland right now doing a really cool project. This again was pre-COVID. We're hoping everything comes back online real soon. And by the time you guys get here in the fall, things will be back to normal. But hopefully that answered your question to really get to broaden your excitement for the honors program. If you qualify today, please apply. If you don't, please come to see one of us and we will help you get in if you work real hard when you get here.
Great. A few more questions in the chat box. For your degree, you need to earn 120 credit hours to graduate. And so when you break that down by semester, that's 15 credits per semester. And that's where advisors like to put you. You have to have 12 each semester to be full-time. And so that's important for things like financial aid and your standing in the program. But generally, we aim for around 15. Athletic, and that's probably consistent throughout the university. Do athletic training majors get clinical experience with WVU athletes? So two ways to answer that. One, athletic training is now moving to a master's degree. So you would actually come into WVU's Exercise Physiology Program with us for 4 years and get your bachelor's degree. And then you can apply to the master's degree in athletic training. They are here in our same department. Dr. Nguyen comes into the freshman class and we'll talk to you about athletic training and what that looks like. And so if you want to go on to be an athletic trainer, then you have to go on for that master's degree. And we are the preferred feeder program to get into the master's program for athletic training. So there, once you're in the master's program, you absolutely do spend quite a bit of time working with WVU athletic teams. However, if that's something that you want to do during your undergraduate experience and find out more about working with those athletes, Dr. Nguyen is really great about setting up some shadowing opportunities so you can learn more about it. Additionally, if you are serious about strength and conditioning, we do have a partnership with the WVU Athletics for like one undergraduate intern to do their internship with WVU Athletic Strength and Conditioning. So there is some opportunity there. And also with our dance science, if you elect to go into that emphasis and work with the dance team, those are, is it a club sport, Dr. Pasilli? So they're WVU athletes.
Dr. Leary, let me also add that I showed a couple of slides with Dr. Galster, who actually has, they do tactical training and special elite level training, research projects that involve WVU athletes. So there's another even potential avenue where you would be measuring things like VO2 max and biomechanics, and it would be in a research setting. And in those settings, they're typically trying to figure out how do you lift better, or how do you make a person stronger with the least amount of work, these types of things. So there's another avenue in which one could end up working with the athletes if that's what they were really interested in.
Great.
And Dr. Leary, if I could also add, it's not just at WVU that athletic training is a matter. That was a profession-wide switch. So our sophomores in the athletic training major are the last class in the country. Throughout the country, sophomores are the last class that will get undergrad degrees in athletic training. As a profession, they are switching to a master's degree, and our master's program is enrolling now. In fact, our first class of master's athletic training students started this summer in the new program. But we are trying to come up with a plan for students to segue directly into the athletic training program, master's program, after their third year. So you would, it would shorten your schooling by a year once that's developed. It's not developed yet, but for incoming freshmen, I would say it would likely be developed by the time it would apply to them. So it could save you a year.
Thank you, Dr. Olfert, Dr. McCord. That's very helpful. I appreciate you mentioning that. The health track, so that kind of pre-med, pre-dental track, that is you elect to go into that program. So when you apply to WVU Exercise Phys, we are a direct admit. So if you get into WVU, you can come join us in exercise physiology. And once you get into our program, you choose between the general track or that health professions track, depending on your professional goals. So you don't really need to apply to one of the to the health track specifically. Okay. The physician's assistant program here at WVU, that is housed in our same department. So just like athletic training is a sister program, or physical therapy, occupational therapy, the physician's assistant program is also one of our sister programs. And so Dr. Briner, Dr. Leary, they actually teach in the PA program. And so we're really glad to be having them in our department with us. And so again, that's really nice because we have that communication like we do with PT or athletic training. How can we best prepare our students to matriculate into your program? And so our general track plus the addition of a microbiology course is sufficient to go matriculate into a physician's assistant program here at WVU. Where do most WVU graduates go to medical school? I think because they're in-state, many stay here in West Virginia. We have a fair number that go to WVU Medical School and stay here in the School of Medicine with us. And we also have some that go down to the DO program down in Lewisburg. Dr. Briner, do you have more information on that?
Yeah, and then the third school is Marshall. All three of those are actively taking the ex-phys kids. We have several in each of those programs. I've already heard probably from, I don't know, half a dozen to 10 of my students who are excited and they've gotten into just the WVU program here. So yeah, kids do go elsewhere, but because we have such a large percentage of in-state students, one of our three schools is where to go. And let me just digress for a second, if you don't mind. My son went to medical school in one of the schools here. And as I was telling him, when he was telling me early on, he wanted to go to medical school in, I don't know, Colorado or Arizona or someplace, I'm like, why? We have these three wonderful programs who give in-state preference and in-state tuition breaks. And it's a really, really advantageous to Virginia because of that. But we do have kids who have gone on to UVA and to Pitt and to many other programs. But Dr. Leary is right. The large majority of them are in one of those three in-state schools.
Thank you. And I would like to brag on our program just a little bit. In that health professions track, your senior year, we'd ask you to take our pathophysiology course. And that is directed by Dr. Briner, and Dr. Olford and Dr. Pastilli teach in there. And it is a very rigorous course, but it was implemented because WVU Medicine tells us if you give them pathophys, they'll be even better prepared when they come in to medical school. And so Dr. Briner has told me how our students that then go on to medical school come back and say, yes, it was hard, but it was like the best class to prepare me to go into medical school. And so that's one small example of how we really try and make sure that our students are as prepared as possible to matriculate into those programs. So pathophysiology is not required for medical school, but it's a good thing to have. And we want to set our students up to be really successful even when they get there. So the percentage of out-of-state students that get into those graduate programs for OT, PT, and athletic training. I unfortunately don't have those numbers. Dr. Briner or Ms. Bakosh, do either of you have those numbers?
I don't have those numbers, but I will tell you that a higher percentage are actually getting in. In some of the programs, in some of the years, it's almost 50-50. Again, my daughter is in dental school. They take 48 students and 20 were in-state in her class and 28 were out of state. And that 10 years ago would have been drastically different. So I can tell you that a huge percentage of all of those programs are out-of-state students, but I can't give you the specific numbers because that changes from year to year.
Great. Are there any other questions for the chat box or that you'd like to volunteer? How many freshmen are accepted into the Honors College?
A lot. Dr. McCurry, do you remember what they said was the class this year? Because it was one, right? I don't remember the number.
I don't remember. I don't know that they have a quota.
They
like
don't
a,
have a
a
quota.
number. It's if you're qualified,
Yeah.
you would get accepted. They don't, you don't have to be interviewed to see which, 100 they're going to pick. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So if you meet the qualifications, apply.
Yeah.
Great. Well, if anybody wants to stick around, I love to talk about this program and brag on it. If you ever need to get hyped about WVU exercise physiology, I am here for you. I love to talk about this program. So please stay. And if you don't have any questions or you're ready to hop off, that's fine too. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming. We're really glad. And thank you for sharing your videos.